We are not designed to heal in isolation. We are collectivistic people. And that's not just a motivational statement, that's biology. Yet, the vast majority of healing content out there, including a lot of what I've created, is consumed alone, on headphones in a bedroom without anyone else in the room, which is fine. It really is. It's a starting point. It's how I got through so much, by listening and repeating meditations over and over. And that's a huge part of this, don't get me wrong. That is important, but it's not the whole picture.
Hey there, and welcome to Heal with Grace. I'm your host, Grace Secker, and I'm a holistic licensed therapist and nervous system coach who believes that the chronic and often unseen symptoms you're living with are a sign of something deeper going on, a sign that your nervous system needs attention. In each episode, I'll share the science behind the most common chronic health disorders, plus holistic health tips using mental, physical, and spiritual practices. You'll hear what I've learned in my journey and the true stories from our trusted guests, so you can feel less alone in your experience and give yourself grace no matter what you're going through. So without further ado, settle in and get cozy. It's time to heal with Grace.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Heal with Grace podcast. I'm excited to talk to you today on my solo episode about really what I was missing from my own journey when I was going through this. If you don't know much about me or my story yet, if you're new here, I struggled with chronic symptoms to be honest, I'm one of those people that I can track back to like childhood, like early days. But it didn't come about until my early 20s. And I knew nothing about this world. I didn't even know there was a world out there. Things like pain, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, gut issues, headaches, migraines, long COVID. At the time, it was Lyme that was really popular and being diagnosed all the time, like so many different things. I had no idea. Now, I ended up going to a therapist, thankfully, after I had a bunch of pain all over my body. Like it was not explained very well. I mean, I was told that I was hypermobile and that's why I had pain, but I mean, not to the degree, like it didn't explain to the degree of pain that I had all over my body. This was in grad school and I couldn't go to sleep because I was in so much pain. I was young. I should not have been in that much pain. And thankfully, I was sent to a psychologist who did the work that I do now. It wasn't called pain reprocessing therapy at the time, but it is now. And within 6 months, I pretty much was 90% recovered. And I didn't look back until a few years later when I developed all different kinds of symptoms like chronic fatigue, mold toxicity, gut issues, histamine reactions, migraine type symptoms, like the whole 9 yards. And I didn't know it was the same type of work. So I went through the ringer again, doctor after doctor after doctor, and nothing was really changing until I came back to this work. I had literally one of those moments where the light bulb goes over your head. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, yeah. The work you did with your pain can also be applied to your chronic symptoms and illnesses. And so I started just doing this work on my own. I didn't know there was any community out there. I didn't know there were programs like the one I have now, like plenty of others. I didn't know. And to be honest, there wasn't as much as there is these days. And what I want to tell you is about what I feel like was missing from that time that really prolonged my recovery journey. Because I was in and out still after this work. I was in and out for years. I'd be doing better and then I'd have flares and I'd question it all over again. Like, what do I physically treat versus what do I mind body treat? I didn't know. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. Like, what if you're in that state, if you are new to this work or if you've kind of dipped your toes in, but you're still questioning, like what I see could have really helped me in that time and how I'm going to walk you through it, essentially. So for a while, I thought that I needed more and more information. Like, if I just read one book, did one more training, understood the mechanisms a little better, something would finally click. Guess what? That's not what was missing. What was missing was somewhere to actually do this work consistently with other people who got it, with someone in my corner when things got hard, with structure that kept me showing up even on the weeks when I didn't really want to do it because I felt so isolated and alone. I literally didn't know one other person that felt like I did. I didn't know anyone else. I felt like I had to hide it from people, from my partner at the time. Thankfully, some of my family, actually my parents, kind of got it. We've been a family of health issues. So health issues are not uncommon, but still they weren't on the same healing trajectory I was. They weren't doing the same mind body work. So I couldn't connect with them and I didn't really know how to do it. So I feel like that isolation and the secrecy that I felt like I had to hide, I felt like I kind of had to hide what I was doing because no one got it. That actually made me worse because there was some shame around it. There was some guilt. There was this like feeling of I'm different, something's wrong with me. And instead, what we actually very much so know is that healing in communities actually creates more healing and recovery. Doing it alone is harder and the body doesn't respond as well. So that's first and foremost, like very much so what I feel like I needed. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. But basically, if you're doing the same thing and you're feeling alone, like totally see you, totally hear you. That's a really hard way to do this. It's not impossible. I've gotten to where I am today from that period, but it's harder than it needs to be. So, one of the other things I want to mention first, actually, is that the information alone does not heal, does not help you. It's very important. So, the education that you see in this podcast and all over social media or books or videos that you see and you watch of people in the mind body healing space is so important. Like, very important because you can't shift or change something if you don't understand what's happening. And we're asking you to look at your health from a total 180 view. Like, you've understood how the body operates at this time up until this point in your life. You've been told if you have a physical problem, you need a physical treatment. What we're saying is, yeah, you have a physical problem. You're not making it up, but the treatment isn't physical. The treatment is in your mind body connection. It's more emotional, psychological, nervous system based. So that's a big shift. And that requires more than just knowledge. It requires constant reminders, lots of practices, being with and using your somatic nervous system, emotional regulation practices to move through and change. So you can listen to every podcast I put out. I hear people all the time tell me, your podcast is so helpful. Thank you so much. I have learned and actually recovered symptoms. Like, I felt better just by listening. And so that's huge. That's important. Amazing. I'm glad you're here. I hope that this helps you in that way too. You can read every book on neuroplastic pain. You can understand the polyvagal theory backwards and forwards. But what I often see with people is that your nervous system will still be doing exactly what it's always done because understanding is processed in the prefrontal cortex and the nervous system lives somewhere much older, much less rational than that. The subconscious that we are shifting, that we're changing, your parts of you that that we're working on shifting to release the stress in your nervous system, those are old, irrational, younger child parts of you. It does not operate off of understanding alone. And so, what actually changes the nervous system is practice, repetition, showing up again and again, and doing the work even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. And here's what I've noticed, both in my own experience and working with clients, is that that kind of consistency is genuinely hard to maintain alone. Not because you're not motivated, not because you don't care, but because when you're chronically in pain and feel like shit, your resources are already stretched thin. And when a hard week hits or a flare comes or life just gets in the way, the thing that goes first is the healing work sometimes. Now, I've gotten to the point in my journey where that's not the case. It's very much so like the one thing that is constant in my life, my practices every single day, my connection with myself every single day, non negotiable. And because I genuinely want to now. Now, it looks very different than when I was truly in the midst of recovery. But my point being, when you're learning this, is sometimes harder to manage and keep up and know what you need when you're doing it alone. And I've seen it happen so many times. Someone does really well for 3 weeks. Something hard happens, they fall off, they feel behind, they feel like they failed. And the shame of feeling like they failed makes it harder to come back. That cycle right there keeps people stuck way longer than the nervous system pattern itself. That is where support matters. You are not going to do this perfectly. You won't at all. It will go up and down. Healing is not linear and you're not meant to do it perfectly. I don't know about you, but anytime I have been in a flare, I go to is I just start watching videos. I start connecting with people. I start figuring out, okay, what can help me right now? And if I had the support and the community that is available now back then, man, I cannot imagine like how that would have been different. I wouldn't have been stuck for so long. It felt like absolute poo. It felt really depressed. I would have had support that would have helped me get out of that. So I want to get a little sciencey for a second because this part is actually fascinating. There's a concept in nervous system science called co-regulation. And what it basically means is that our nervous systems regulate in relationship with other nervous systems. We are wired, literally wired to calm down in the presence of other calm, safe humans. This is why you can feel your whole body exhale when you're around someone who really gets it. Why a conversation with the right person can shift something in you that an hour of solo meditation couldn't touch. Why being truly witnessed, truly seen by someone who understands what you're carrying changes something at a physiological level. We are not designed to heal in isolation. We are collectivistic people. And that's not just a motivational statement, that's biology. Yet, the vast majority of healing content out there, including a lot of what I've created, is consumed alone on headphones in a bedroom without anyone else in the room, which is fine. It really is. It's a starting point. It's how I got through so much by listening and repeating meditations over and over. And that's a huge part of this. Don't get me wrong. That is important, but it's not the whole picture. So, okay. I had a client last year, um, name anonymous, of course, who had been doing nervous system work on her own for about 2 years. She understood it well. She was being seen by empathetic and compassionate practitioners. She had some tools, going for walks, trying to create space in her schedule, trying to down regulate during a stressful time, breathing, trying out some meditation, and was kind of making progress slowly, but kept hitting a ceiling she couldn't break through. Once she started working with us more consistently, showing up to calls, being in community with other people doing this work, within about 6 weeks, she told me that something shifted that 2 years of solo work hadn't been able to shift. And she was like, honestly, I think I just needed to not be alone in it. I didn't realize how much I felt shame that I was still struggling after 2 years. I felt like I should be better by now. And what I'm realizing is being seen by others that get it and don't judge me for it has really helped. And they don't feel alone. And now I've learned others tools that, people are asking and they're getting feedback on. And I realize that's helpful for me. And it's really catapulted my healing. That I was like, yes, this is it. This is so important. And I mean, I've said this time and time again if you've listened that I created the mind body healing method group live program. That's when I started this a few years ago. I created it because I wanted to build something I didn't have. I wanted to build a community. I wanted to build a step-by-step process by a therapist who has trauma as a background, trauma training, to help people understand all the components and give them this safe group space to be a part of. I did take a pause on the group for a little bit because I needed to restructure it. I kept getting feedback that maybe it wasn't long enough or there was too much pressure to get through it in a certain amount of time. And I also kept seeing the same gap with people that would just go through it on their own, right? They would understand it, they'd start it, applying it, and then kind of drift without the structure to keep going, without someone to ask questions to when something came up, without a community of people who were in it with them. So I've been really trying to sit with this for a little bit, try to figure out how to help you in this journey, right? What's going to really support you the best. I still want the community component. I think that's so important. The group component, so you can be seen by others, you can get the feedback, you can share and go through it with people that get it and have consistent access, not just this time period where you have to create it in 3 months or complete it in 3 months and then you should be better, right? There's a lot of time constraints on that. Okay, so I'm going to be real with you about where I'm landing with all this. What we have to help you is first and foremost the Mind Body Healing Method course. It is the foundation, the practice, the information that keeps getting updated and will always be with you. It is the true foundation, the step by step built by me, a trauma trained therapist, everything you need to actually understand and work with what's driving your symptoms. Really understand your nervous system and heal that root cause. And I've watched people go through it and have genuine breakthroughs, like real ones, getting their life back. And so that first and foremost, if you've been curious about it, 100% go to the link below and get in on the self-paced Mind Body Healing Method course. You can have it in your back pocket every day. But what I've started to see, like I've mentioned, is that people would get in, start doing the work, and then drift a little bit. Not because the content wasn't good or wasn't helpful, but just because they were doing it alone and didn't really have the accountability and might feel stuck a little bit at times. And also, that's 100% normal. Let's talk about resistance for a second. Resistance is not always conscious. It's not that you're doing it on purpose. Resistance can look like procrastination. It can look like this subtle way of you not wanting to show up. And that's truly your nervous system impacting you. So think of it this way. If all of your symptoms are protecting you from unfelt emotions, quote unquote, dangerous emotions, old experiences you didn't want to think through, or feeling grounded and settled in your body, in your life, making certain decisions around relationships or work or career, we're asking you to look at that. So in healing your nervous system and recovery, you're actually digging up and doing the things that your symptoms, your chronic pain and illness has protected you from. So, can you only imagine that it's going to yell back at you, or it's going to keep sending you symptoms, or it's going to divert your attention and create new thoughts in your brain to think like, ah, I don't really want to do this. I'm not going to do this. That's completely normal. Um, what I have found is that obviously, like having someone help you through it, accountability is really important. And in a place that you feel safe, comfortable, and grounded. So, this is what I'm going to start offering next are small, intimate groups. So, I've offered group before, but they've been a little bit bigger and more people coming in and out. This one is going to be small, contained groups. So, I only enroll 6 people max in each group and we don't start unless we have enough people. And I make sure I pair people together that I know are going to be a good fit together, that who probably get each other, that might understand it a little bit more, right? This is for people who have been in the mind body healing method. So, by the way, if this sounds interesting to you, download the self paced, get started, and then apply to be in a small group. This is really for people who are in that course, but want to go through it with other people who are actually in it with them. This is not a Facebook group or a messaging board where messages get lost in the void. It is a real intentional container with people who get it, where you don't have to explain yourself or your weird health issues because we get it, right? And it's all led by me. This is where you can be seen by others going through the same thing. And this is the community piece I was missing for so long. It actually exists now. So we work privately with people one on one, and I've done that a lot for myself, but to be honest, I think that I never really joined a group, one, in the beginning because I didn't know about them, and two, I was a little hesitant. I'm not gonna lie, like groups can be a little vulnerable for me, and I tend to not do them all the time. I can get a little overwhelmed, or I have some social anxiety that happens. And this is why I'm creating these smaller containers. Because if you resonate with that, I want you to be able to feel seen and show up and maybe make some friends out of it. So the starting point is the course. That's where you start. You can go to the link in the show notes and get the Mind Body Healing Method at your own pace in your own time, and then apply for a small group. You'll be the first to know, and you'll already have the foundation to actually use it. Meaning you'll be the first to know when it opens because I will be sending out emails privately to people who are already in the Mind Body Healing Method. And so if you feel like, yeah, I do want support, I want accountability, I want help to move through this, that's why I created these. And I'm really excited to get them started. We're actually starting our first one in April. So if you want to get in on that, if you're already in the course and you're like, oh yeah, I feel like this is the missing piece that I wanted, uh, let me know. You will be getting an email if you're in the course, so you'll just reply to that. If you miss it or you feel like you didn't receive it, just let me know and I'll walk you through it. This is where the information plus the practice plus the people really moves the needle. Everything you need to know is in the show notes. I would love to see you in there. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this work. It really matters more than you know to share this podcast, to keep it going, let more people know about this work. That's my mission. And I really thank you for being here. All right. Keep healing with grace, and I'll see you next week.